what's up, you guys, and welcome back to the Televised Podcast. My name is Anna, and today, I'm kind of coming to you with a heavy heart today. I actually already recorded this episode once, but I, after the passing of Naya Rivera, the confirmed passing on Monday, I have decided to re-record it the night that I have to upload it to YouTube and to SoundCloud and everywhere else, because I think it's extremely important that we take this moment to remember Naya and to mourn her, but also to celebrate her life that she lived, and especially because I talk about LGBT representation on this podcast so much. I've done 2 different episodes specifically about LGBT representation, and I talk about it nearly every single week. But I had no idea that Naya Rivera was so involved in Santana's storyline on Glee. I had no idea how much of a true trailblazer she was, and I mean, I knew how important she was to so many, but I didn't know that she was such a warrior and a true ally to us. I didn't know that. So today I'm gonna, do kind of a tribute to Naya. I want to talk about her. I want to talk about what my favorite iconic scenes of hers and my favorite moments, and I just want to acknowledge the work that she put in for us, and celebrate her life, celebrate what she did in her life, in her 33 years, which obviously was just cut so unbelievably short, in cruelly cut unbelievably short. So if you're not caught up with the news, Naya Rivera was missing for 5 days, at Lake Piru in California, where she was boating and swimming with her son, Josie, who is only 3, I believe. They searched the lake for her for 5 days, and on Monday, they found her body. The idea of what happened that day that she went missing was that her and Josie were in the water, swimming, and she saved his life by using like the last of her energy to push him up onto the boat, and she ended up drowning due to what was most likely rip currents or just trouble in the water. Josie was wearing a life jacket, but she was not. And so in her final moments, she sacrificed her own life to save her son, which I think, is the true mark of a hero. Somebody who, she obviously was just so selfless and so, compassionate and caring for others, and especially her son, that she, gave up her own life so that he could continue to live his, and it is so unbelievably heart-wrenching to hear that, and it is so unbelievably unfair that she won't be around to watch him grow up. But yeah, so I just wanted to, kind of lay out that information, but like I said, I kind of wanted this to be more of a celebration of her life rather than something that will make you cry. So I'm going to be honest, I have never really watched Glee. I've seen the first episode, but that's about it when it comes to Glee and my history with it. I can't stand Rachel Berry, so I haven't watched it, but I might. It's kind of been on my list and in the back of my mind for a long time, but I might take the chance and watch it, especially after now knowing kind of the background that I do now about Santana and about Britannia and stuff like that. So, but I've never seen Glee, but I still know the iconic scenes and the iconic performances that Naya was involved in, that she lit up every single performance she's been in. Like, people, I've seen the performances in threads on Twitter. People have made, best Glee performance threads, and especially, the past couple days people have really been posting Naya's performances and her iconic scenes. And one of my favorites, and I know that this is not some kind of unpopular or whatever opinion, it is very people think that this is one of her best performances, but Valerie is obviously just a highlight of her time on Glee. And she just does the song so well that you just are like, I can't imagine any other person in this cast killing it the way that she did. And another one of my favorite performances that she did is Smooth Criminal, the one that she did with Grant Gustin's character from, I think the Warblers, was that what their name was? I don't know, but the Twinkie Grant Gustin in his little prep school outfit when she sang with him for Smooth Criminal, and that is just absolutely iconic. Like, she just was such an incredible talent, an incredible performer. You could just tell that she put her heart and soul into every single moment on Glee, and you can tell that she just genuinely liked it. She liked performing, and she liked being a part of the show, and that is something that I think is so rare, especially when you have a show go on for as long as Glee did. You have people that kind of fall off the wagon, but I think she knew that the work that she was doing was important and that people were really enjoying it, and she was having a good time doing it anyway. So I don't know, I always appreciated that in her energy. And honestly, I mean, filming a show like Glee, listen, filming a show is hard. Filming any kind of show is unbelievably hard. But filming a show like Glee, I feel like, is even harder because you have to not only film a television show, but you also have to film 3 music videos in one episode. And you could just tell that it was a labor of love for her, And I've seen so many, obviously the people from the cast have been sharing their stories of Naya, but I did see this one post on Twitter that really kind of hit close to my heart, where this guy posted and said that he used to work at a diner across the street from Paramount Studios, where they used to film Glee, and I guess he would work late or whatever, and Naya would always come in and always be just so kind to him and order, bring him food or whatever from craft services at Paramount Studios, because she was just that kind of person. And so I think that just kind of showed through, even though Santana was such a bitch at some points. She was that bitchy mean girl, but you could just still see the love that kind of just radiated off of Naya. Listen, another one of my favorite scenes is the one where she absolutely eviscerates Kurt in the hallway. Listen, I've never seen Glee, but I have seen that scene at least 15 times. I can recite it. It is just iconic, and I think that just the way that she took this character that could have been so one-dimensional, so just flat and boring, or just one note the whole entire time. She took this character and turned it into something that obviously not only touched so many lives, but became, according to many, one of the best characters on the show. And that was thanks to her. I saw this quote. I I saw this quote that she said, where she said, quote, it started off, so she's talking about Santana being a lesbian, and then the storyline with Brittany and Santana. So she's talking about that, and she says, quote, it started off as like this funny thing, like, oh yeah, she just randomly hooks up with her friend Brittany, but I kind of was encouraging them to make it more serious and not play around with it, because there are people out there that it's not a joke to, it's their real lives, end quote. Which I think just shows the depth of her character, and the way that she truly cared about this role. And like, at this point, I don't even feel comfortable crediting like Ryan Murphy for Santana, or even like Glee writers or whatever. Like, to me, from what I've been reading, it feels like Naya Rivera was Santana. She was the force behind Santana that made her what she was and what she came to be. And it's so cool to think about exactly what she did, because she was one of the first Latina lesbians on television, first of all, and especially one that was so visible. Like, at the time that Glee was airing, it was like the biggest show. Everybody was talking about it. Everybody was watching it. It was on Fox. It was the coolest show ever. It was the show, and everybody listened, to their covers, and everybody was talking about it. And for Naya to take the initiative and say, you know what, this is not just going to be a joke. We're not going to play lesbian for laughs. We are going to do this right, and we're going to make it serious, and we're going to tell this incredible story throughout the course of, 7 seasons of Glee. And it's just, which again, like I said, was one of the most popular shows on television at the moment. And you have to remember that back in 2009, LGBT representation was not what it was. It was not what it is today. And I think that obviously is because, and partly because of, Naya Rivera. She's the reason that we're allowed to have characters like Cheryl Blossom. She's the HBIC, but she's also a lesbian, and she has a girlfriend, and all this stuff, and we're allowed to have visible, minority representation who are LGBT, well, more specifically LGB, but, she was such a driving force behind Santana, and I can't believe that I didn't know that. I feel like that should be more, widespread information, because that is incredible. And actually, Eliana on Twitter, she actually said, she was like, about her saving Josie, and she was like, she truly died as she lived, saving people's lives, because that's what Santana was. Santana was someone that you could, look up to, and you could see yourself on TV, and Naya Rivera was the voice behind her, was her face, and she hosted the GLAAD Awards a bunch of times. She was always an ally for us, which is just, again, the coolest thing ever, especially, during, like I said, a time where it wasn't popular to have an LGBT character, specifically a lesbian character, on your show, especially a series regular, especially one of the main characters of your show. That just wasn't the thing that was happening. And for her to have this fully fleshed out, coming out storyline, well, obviously she got outed on the show, which is not a super great storyline, but, it still resonated with so many people, and it still became such an iconic moment. And in 2009, that was all people had. Yeah, there was the L word, but that doesn't really count, because it wasn't accessible to everyone, and it wasn't necessarily accessible to younger people, which this show was targeted at teenagers. Naya Rivera was the person that a generation of teenagers was raised looking up to, which is, again, so cool. And for her to have been such an incredible person. Every single cast member's stories that I have read has said, you know, that she was selfless and she was kind and she was so funny and she was the best friend and she was, you know, the first person to be nice to me on the Glee set. And just all of these incredible, incredible recounts of her life. It makes me feel, you know, like we're missing something special now, you know? Like, you know, like there's a light out on our string of lights. You know what I mean? I just hope that, you know, everyone, whether you had a personal attachment to her or not, I hope that she'll be remembered, not only just as a hero because of the way that she passed, but also just because of the way that she lived. Remember the kind of person that she was in her life, and remember what she did and what she gave to us, because I can guarantee you that we would not have the characters that we have if it wasn't for her. We wouldn't have a voice. She helped us get this voice that we had on television for 7 years. She was truly a gem and a light in the industry and in so many people's lives. And I like I said, I really feel her loss in the universe and in the world, and I hope everybody's doing okay. I wanted to, you know, take a minute out of this to kind of say it is okay to grieve. It is normal to grieve. Don't let anybody tell you that you're weird or, you know, stop, it's silly if you're crying over Naya's passing. You know, whether you just, like, you know, have such fond memories of her as Santana or you stand her even very recently, it's okay to cry and to grieve and to feel all of these things. In fact, it's healthy and it's encouraged and you're valid in your feelings. Just don't let anybody tell you that this is something silly to grieve over, because it's not. Because the thing is, with these celebrities, we are letting them into our homes, into our lives every single day, you know? You stan Naya Rivera and maybe you see her on Instagram every single day, and that's kind of just a thing that happens every day. And she is a part of your life, and maybe you watch Glee, you know, constantly. You just want to rewatch the show, and again, you're letting her into your life, and maybe you're listening to her covers from Glee, and again, like I said, you're letting her into your life, and she's becoming this permanent fixture in your life, and so it's okay to grieve because you truly lost someone that was in your life, that was a part of you. And that's okay. And it sucks. I know it sucks. But just know that you're valid in your feelings and you're valid in crying and letting it out, because it is what you need to do. It's what your body needs to do. And I just hope that everyone's okay, and that, you know, if you ever need to talk to somebody, I hope you reach out, especially to the ones closest to you. Reach out to your friends. Grieve together, you know. Just allow yourself time to grieve properly, because it's what needs to happen, and you're totally valid in your feelings for doing that. And I hope that, even though obviously her death is so unbelievably shocking, and the way that it happened was so unbelievably cruel, and it is so new, but I hope that is not the way that you or any of us truly remember her. I hope that we remember her as the light of a set, or the light in a room, or that voice that just could change the direction someone is walking, because they just are so magnetically, zoned in on her voice. And I hope that we all remember her the way she lived, and not necessarily the way that she died. Because I think she truly was such an incredible person. And obviously, I mean, like I said, I've never watched Glee, and I feel like I missed out, on experiencing her, obviously while she was alive. And I hope that you all take your memories of her and carry them on, because that's how people live on. They live on in memories, and in the way that we remember people, in the way that we revere people after they're gone. And so, Naya can and will live on within every single one of us who she has touched, who she had touched, over the course of her life. She will always live on in the people who loved her, and the people who loved Santana, and the people who loved Britannia. And she'll live on in the characters that were inspired by Santana, and she'll live on in the cast and in the stories they continue to tell about Naya and about their experiences with her. And she'll continue to live on because we allow her to, and because we want her to. And I just want to send out my condolences, especially to her family and to the cast of Glee and to all of her friends and everyone who knew her. Obviously, this is an unbelievably hard time. And, this is a terrible moment for, everyone. And this is a moment for grief and loss, and be kind to the Glee cast, at the moment, because I noticed that I don't think Heather Morris has posted yet about it, and just don't pressure her to post about it, because obviously her best friend just died. This is something bigger than an Instagram post or whatever. But I just keep her in your heart and keep her within your soul, and she will live on for forever, for as long as we're alive, and for as long as the people who will continue to be inspired by Santana so many years in the future, the people who continue to be inspired by her work and by what she did and who she was so many years in the future. Because someone as wonderful and talented and heartfeltly whole and so passionate about everything that she seemed to be involved in will live on, undoubtedly, for a long, long time. So, I don't know if this is in poor taste, but I also wanted to kind of do a quick little Batwoman update just at the end of this, to kind of maybe hopefully raise some spirits, and kind of get us thinking about the future, and hopefully this will be a minute to kind of wipe your tears. And also, this is kind of, again, like I said, the reason that we even have Batwoman in the first place is because of Naya Rivera. I mean, she was one of the main characters. That's the reason that we're allowed to have this main character, lesbian, on cable television, is pretty much Santana and Naya Rivera. So I kind of wanted to do this little update and kind of talk a little bit about this, just because I feel like it's a almost direct correlation, because she kind of is part of the reason that we're even allowed to have this in the first place. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, just because I don't want to take away from kind of the in memoriam of Naya Rivera and remembering her. I just want to kind of get a little bit of thoughts out just about this new casting, and kind of say something that I think is really important to say. So obviously Javicia Leslie was cast as Ryan Wilder, which amazing. She was on God Friended Me, which I've never actually seen, but people said that she was really a standout on this show. One thing that I want to say that I think is just really important for me to get out in this podcast is that do not send her racially charged hate messages. Do not send her hate messages at all. This is not her fault that Kate Kane is no longer on the show. It is not her fault about whatever you're mad about Batwoman. It's not her fault. The black women of DC TV have been unfairly attacked, hounded, and brutalized online, verbally, for years, forever, since Iris West, and I really don't want Javicia to have to go through that as well. So if you can, just spread kindness in her comments, in her tweets, just spread kindness, spread love. Obviously there's, and I mentioned this on my Curious Cat before, you're not racist if you're mad or if you're upset about Kate Kane not being on the show anymore. You're racist if you're sending hate messages to Javicia Leslie. You're racist if you're tweeting her and saying, well, I'm not going to watch the show because you're on it now. Just be kind with your thoughts, be kind with your words, and just consider, what you're saying, because she is our Batwoman, and that's just how it's gonna be, whether you like it or not. And I have an issue with her being a black lesbian drug runner, and people have pointed that out online as well. They're like, so we're gonna talk about how she's a black lesbian, but she's a drug runner? I would like to talk about it, because that just pushes and enforces negative stereotypes that we don't really need to see on screen anymore. I feel like it's lazy. I feel like it's just not good. She lives out of her van. Why did Kate Kane get to be the affluent, rich, white lesbian, and then the black lesbian has to be a drug runner who lives out of her van? It's ridiculous. I think a cool storyline would have been if she was some kind of defense lawyer or something, almost I'm watching Lucifer season 3, so almost like Charlotte Richards, where she's defending the scum of Gotham and she gets them off out of jail. She gets them out of jail, which I think, I think that could be really cool, because then as Batwoman, she's beating them up, but then as a lawyer, she's trying to keep them from going to jail. So I think that could be really cool, but obviously they did not ask me. We'll see what actually happens when the show airs, because I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen a lot of backlash about it, but I hope that they kind of get enough backlash where they'll change it, because I don't think... you can still be a not your stereotypical all-American hero, but not be a poor drug runner who lives out of her van. Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's all for me today. I don't really want to dwell on Batwoman too much, just because I wanted this episode to really focus on Naya and the person that she was and the presence that she was, and especially just in her importance as a person who, was such a fighter, and she was a true ally for the LGBT community. She was just an icon, and she truly deserved that status, that icon status, because she paved the way, honestly. I mean, like I said, I can't even in my mind accredit Santana to Ryan Murphy or the writers of Glee, because it feels like Naya was the one who pushed for Santana to be a lesbian, for Santana to date Brittany. There's just so many moments where she was the defining moment of this character, and I can never be more grateful for that, and for her, and for what she did, and for how she impacted so many lives in that way. And I I guess I saw a quote that she wrote once, and it said that she just wants to, before she dies, she wants to make her mark. And I think she did that. I think that every single person who was ever touched by her has proven that she made her mark before she died. And I hope that that's something that we can all carry with us around and keep her memory alive in that way. Thank you guys so much for listening. I'll have, kind of links and stuff, resources in the description like usual. And you can tweet me at televisedpod. How about in the comments you let me know what your favorite memory of Naya Rivera is? If maybe, you have a favorite scene, a favorite song, a favorite just moment of hers that you really resonated with, just, let me know, and also let me know what you think about this Batwoman stuff. But you can, like I said, tweet me at televisedpod, leave a comment, you can like, share, subscribe, rate, whatever, do all the things, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.